Hello everyone, I'm so happy to see you here. Today we are going to talk about two different styles of creativity, the adaptation and innovation creativity. As always, we'll start with a story, but this time you'll have a task in the end. Meanwhile, try to uncover some insights about the creativity of the characters who are, by the way, my family and myself. Many years ago, my eldest son Idan was in the 6th grade. He was asked to bring a cake to the end of the year party at school. He, like all his friends, liked chocolate cake with chocolate frosting. He was comfortable reading recipes, mixing ingredients, and using the oven, with adult supervision, of course. My wife Yael left him her recipe, and he mixed the cake batter. While it was in the oven, it was time to make the frosting. Now the creative part of the story begins. At this point, he realized that there was no dark chocolate left at home for the frosting. It was getting late and the corner store was already closed. He looked through the pantry, found some white chocolate, and thought to himself, this might work just well. It will be delicious and look amazing. He then followed the recipe for the frosting with his substitution, and it was in fact just as tasty as he imagined. He spread it on the cake, but for whatever reason, maybe because the cake was shining through, the white chocolate frosting appeared to have a green tint. It was, let's just say, not appealing. He was sure that the other kids would avoid eating it because of the weird color. He called me to the kitchen and asked for advice. What would you suggest in this situation? In our house, I cook often, but my wife is the baker. Take that as an excuse for my bizarre suggestion. I was honest and told him I really don't have a grip on the subject, but my best idea is maybe the class should eat the cake in the dark, although I admitted this would seem quite suspicious. He thought about it for a moment, and probably to avoid offending me, he explained that there are big windows in the classroom and no way to block the light. So anyway, my solution is irrelevant. Of course, he was right. It's not the best solution here. I sheepishly passed off the responsibility to my wife, who was on her way home. When she arrived, she asked Idan to take some whipping cream out of the fridge and pour it into the mixer. A few minutes later, she was spreading a layer of beautiful white whipped cream frosting on the cake. Then they decorated with a colorful candy. This way, no one was confused by the weird undertone of the frosting. He brought it to the class, and it was both delicious and beautiful. I couldn't find a photo of Idan cooking, but here they are, enjoying a different cake. This is exactly how they looked the day of the class party. This isn't a story about baking or class parties or cakes, but about creativity. Who was creative in this story, and in what way? Let's break it down. Idan, when he discovered there was no dark chocolate, he went for the white chocolate. He searched for alternative relevant solutions. By tasting the cream to check that it was good before spreading it on the cake, he opened up an additional channel of creativity, testing and measuring ideas. And when I gave him my solution, his thoughtful consideration of possibilities was yet another exhibit of imagination of his creativity. Me, suggesting to eat the cake in the dark was definitely one solution, but this solution was not feasible and not appropriate for the reality of the class party. This belongs to what is known as breakthrough creativity or innovative creativity, where solutions that are really far from the subject are proposed. Sometimes these are good solutions and sometimes less. Yael, she has a lot of knowledge and experience on the subject and maximized this to come up with a solution that simply covered the undertone with a whipped cream. Her solution fits into the category of structured or adaptive creativity. This creativity that exists inside a practical, material world and is based on knowledge and familiarity with the properties of a specific domain. If a good story is one with a moral, this one is great. It has 5. 1. Creativity exists in our everyday lives, in the little things, even in cake frosting. 2. Every person has their own style of creativity. One way to understand this is the spectrum called Adaptation Innovation Scale. Adaptive creativity operates within the framework of rules which they thoroughly understand. Innovative creativity happens at the edge or even outside of the established boundaries. Each style has its own benefits and is applicable to different types of problems. 3. Creativity is based on knowledge and is connected to reality. Later, we'll get into how creativity is about working inside the box and not as the common phrase outside of the box makes us believe. 4. Restrictions and constraints can become opportunities for creativity. In this case, it was the absence of ingredients that awakened the creativity. 5. Conversation and openness is the most important tool for developing creativity. In the home, this is the open conversation between household members. And that is what this course is for. We'll talk about this and more in the upcoming lesson. Let's dive in.